Hey YouTubers, I wanted to make a video and show you how to set up your system if you are recording books on tape and submitting things to ACX, because it's slightly different than it is if you are doing normal voiceovers for commercial use or industrial use. So let's go to Audacity and we're going to open it up. We're going to look at the preferences and the preferences devices. I'm using a Yeti right now, one channel mono, playback, normal, everything normal, import, export. I want check the quality. We want to be 44.1, not 48. 44.1 is what ACX wants for submissions. So it's easier to record in 44.1 and then just spit it out rather than it is to convert the sample. Sample format 24-bit is fine. If you want to go 32-bit, that's cool. Keep the quality highest unless you have a very slow computer. And same thing for the conversion. So the highest, okay? Click OK. Make sure that you're in 44.1 here. And click to start monitoring. You want to be recording somewhere between 18 with your peaks at maybe -6. So -18 to -6, somewhere in that range. You can adjust it here. I've got the recording volume at 0.8 and I've got the gain on the back of my Yeti at about 1030 right now. I'm about 12 inches away from the microphone, so I'm not really close up on it. So you might want to adjust. So we go into this, we're recording, and this would be, chapter 1. And then you would start reading, the chapter. And obviously you're going to have to edit it. And so then we stop, and we're going to click here to look at the entirety of what we did. I'm going to make this bigger. I like looking at it bigger. So if we go back to the beginning, this we're recording, and this would be, chapter 1, and then you would start. Okay. So we're gonna treat that as such, as that's our recording. I'm not getting into editing. I've discussed editing, and editing is universal for if you're doing auditions or you're doing ACX. So we're going to go in here and look at the volume on the right here and make sure that we're somewhere between -12 and -6. Chapter 1. So and then you would start doing. I think that whatever level this is can be bumped up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into effect first off, and I'm going to go to equalization. I'm going to go to voiceover. This is a generic curve where it's going to roll off some low end and it's going to add a little bit of high end. I'm going to just click OK. It's going to change. It's going to change everything. So now it's a little bit brighter. We're recording, and it's not going to change the volume all that much. Chapter 1. Okay. I'm going to go into here into effect now and go to limiter. The submission requirements for ACX are they would prefer a mono signal. They will take stereo. If you're adding music and stuff like that, then maybe you're submitting a stereo file. If it's just you reading, just submit a mono file. It's a little bit easier for them. I'm putting this on a limiter rather than a compressor because I want the limit of the peaks to not go higher than -3. That is one of their submissions. And let's see, input gain and left and right, although mono, so it's going to be -4. I'm adding 4 dB because I was hovering around here at -10. I want my peaks to be like -6, and then having the voice be somewhere in between the -12 and -6 range. So I'm going to click OK. It's going to, you see that the waveform has become bigger. And so if we now press play, we're recording, and all of this is going in between here.
Chapter 1. And then you would start.
And you see that line is that's the peak. So the peak is -6 right
reading,
now.
the chapter.
This might be a peak here.
And obviously you're going to have to edit it.
And so that now when you say that this is an edited track, we're going to export as MP3. I'm going to put it in my auditions folder, or you can create a new folder on the desktop. Let's go back to the desktop, and I'm going to go new folder, and I'm going to go ACX. I'm going to make it, I'm going to create that. And then you can make a subfolder within that for each book that you're working on. I'm going to call this test. We're saving it as an MP3 file. We want a constant bitrate mode of 192 or higher. We can go 320. They don't want variable bitrate. They want it to be a constant bitrate of 192 or higher, 44.1. So you can make it joint stereo, or you can export to mono. If you're doing something with sound effects that are stereo, or you're adding music going in and out, or you have music underneath and that is stereo and you want it to be stereo, make it a joint stereo. If not, I'm going to export it to mono. So it's a mono signal, and I'm going to click save. You can add metadata if you want. I don't do it. So now it's doing that. And if you go to the ACX folder, we've got our test.
Do this, we're recording, and this would be, chapter 1.
And that's how you get set up for ACX.